Moolala is brought to you by the nonprofit credit counseling agency Credit Canada. TikTok is a marvel. It's also a nightmare, but it is a marvel in terms of the kind of content, the breadth of content on literally any topic you can think of. Mental health, recipes, travel, hacks on all parts of your life, and of course, personal finance. But when you are taking your money matters into your own hands, you kind of got to pay attention to the source of the information here on social media. We're going to talk to a certified financial planner who also happens to be a pretty active TikToker. His name is Sam Lichtman. He is co-founder of Achieve Wealth Management, and he TikToks under Millennial Money Canada. He joins us now from London, Ontario. Hello there, Sam.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks so much for having me.
You're in the demographic in which TikTok is, something that you and your peers do. Less so for me as a Gen Xer, not that no one does, of course, but for you, it's in your generation, it's much more natural. Why did you decide to take your professional life as a CFP and bring the kind of insight that you would provide directly to clients to TikTok?
It's a great question. There's a lack of good advice out there from a public social media perspective. And so as I was on social media scrolling through and I heard people talk about misuses of RRSPs and tax-free savings accounts and misconceptions put out there, I thought, I think I have a good perspective on this based on my education. And as long as I put out good content and quality content from a general information perspective rather than specific advice, I think I can really add some value to this marketplace. And yeah, it pretty much took off right from the get-go. My first video was actually around electric vehicles in Canada and electric vehicle tax credits. That was my first video as call it trying to be an influencer, and it got over 100,000 views. And so that was a real turning point for me to think, oh, okay, people want to hear this stuff, tax credits, very informative, electric vehicles, very trendy. Let's see where we can take this. And it just turned into something I really never expected.
How do you think about topics? What do you decide to talk about?
Well, we look at what's trending and what people are interested in. So there's ways to do it, figuring out the trending feature on social media, whether it's the first home savings account. I recently posted a video that got over 1 million views explaining the first home savings account, which was tremendous because I had people that I hadn't talked to in 5 years saying, hey, my brother showed me this video and it was you, and I just wanted to reach out. And so that was really, really cool. So it's a lot of what's trending, but it's also a lot of what's important, right? We talk a lot on my TikTok about behavior around investing. We talk a lot about expectations. We talk a lot about the way that accounts are constructed and good times and bad times to use those accounts and things like general information. It's what's important and what's relevant.
How do you go about making a TikTok video as distinct from what you might put on YouTube or what you might post to Instagram or Twitter? So for example, music underscoring is a big deal on TikTok.
Yeah, that's right. And it's a little bit different when it comes to TikTok accounts, because as a business account, I'm actually limited to what type of music I get to use. So I can't use all the trendy sounds. So I really have to stick to very captivating headlines and kind of hooks. So it's a lot about capturing attention, right? Because the first 30 seconds of a TikTok video, or the first actually 5 seconds of a TikTok video, is what grabs the user's attention. And so it's about making a bold claim and then making sure that I explain in context what the actual topic of the video is. And it's a very simplified way of doing it, because on YouTube, you get people's attention for maybe 10 minutes. Here you have people's attentions for maybe 5 seconds. So if the intro is good enough, it hooks the viewer in to actually watch the whole video and understand the context of what we're talking about.
Here's an example of one of your intros that I will serve back to you and offer to our listeners. And I quote, "With the utmost humility, I think I'm a better follow than most other financial advisors." I love this bravado. Why do you think you're better?
It's a great question. I was for context, I put this video out there in response to Twitter users relentlessly making fun of TikTok as a medium for sharing financial advice. And so one of the reasons that I feel like I'm a good person to follow on social is because I am of the generation that I work with. So I am a millennial and I specialize in working with millennials. I'm also a business owner and specialize in working with business owners. And one of the frustrating things that I've seen was the gatekeeping of financial advice for young people. So for instance, when I went into the bank at age 19, worried about credit card debt because I had no financial literacy under my belt, they didn't provide me with any solutions. In fact, they sold me overdraft protection, and I wasn't good with money at that point in time and had no financial literacy. And so from there, it really started this really unhealthy relationship with money for me. I had no one to really understand what I was going through and to turn to actually help me understand what is good debt, what is bad debt, how to manage cash flow and all that stuff. And so for me, I actually took the initiative to get involved in the industry, and I became a bank teller and started to work my way up from there. Not everyone can do that. So my goal is to put advice out and information out that people can actually really cling on to and make their lives better and not have to turn to sales-based, product-based salespeople at the banks or other financial advisors like that.
What was your turning point? What was the moment when you said, I will get better at this?
Probably feeling sick about having my own credit card debt. Probably the moment where I woke up and thought, like, I can't sleep at night. This is causing me anxiety. I need to figure out a way out of this. And I know I'm not the only one to have felt that way. When you look at the studies, millennials are one of the most indebted generations, student loan debts, all of those things, credit cards. And so for me, that was a big turning point. I needed to figure out a way out. I knew that as my nature, I'm an impulsive person. So I had to get that under control, because we know that impulse spending is actually very inversely correlated with wealth creation. And so I realized I needed to get that under control. And so that was probably the turning point. The anxiety just drove me to really learn more about the industry and get educated.
I am a parent to a 13-year-old who loves TikTok. I read a lot about the social media platforms and the harms connected to TikTok in particular, for lots of mental health reasons. The behavioral science on TikTok makes me want to cry, because it becomes this infinite stream of content that becomes very, very difficult, especially for neurodiverse people, to unhook themselves from. How do you feel about being a participant in something that for sure does some good, but also can do great harm?
I think that I take a very agnostic stance on the platform itself. My goal is to educate people in a medium where they are. My goal is to be present in those platforms. I'm also present on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. TikTok is where we've gotten the most attention, where I've gotten the most attention and the most followers. And so for me, what that means is my videos get seen by more people on that platform. So that's where I'm going to put the most of my content. That's where I'm going to spend most of my attention, because we're getting in front of over 10 million people over the course of my posting lifetime on TikTok, which is a huge number. And a lot of people are finding a lot of value in it. A lot of people are reaching out to me saying, hey, Sam, like the DMs I get, this is an amazing platform, an amazing channel. We're so happy. Like, we'd learned so much about financial literacy through you. All of those things, it's making a real difference for people. So I try to stay agnostic in the platform. If TikTok gets shut down tomorrow for privacy concerns, trust me, I'm going to be on the next platform posting just as frequent content and as financially and financial literacy content on whatever platforms out there.
I am about 4,000 years older than you. So I have been doing this for a really, really, really long time. If you could change one thing for your generation in terms of their financial behavior, what would it be?
Everything is so easily at our fingertips to be able to purchase with credit cards and really thoughtless purchasing. So if I could change one thing, it would be the idea that money is so easy to spend, because that really does affect how we spend our money and how much we spend. it's easier to type in a credit card number on an app than it is to pay with cash. There's science around it. It's shown that we spend more when we have a credit card when we tap our phones versus when we part with cash. I think that's a big thing that we all struggle with. My generation all struggles with is just mindlessly spending money and not really knowing where it goes. So that's a big thing. But I think the one thing, Bruce, I guess overarching as I'm thinking about this overall would be the level of debt that people start their lives in. The amount it costs to get a post-secondary education in Canada, and it's starting to creep up more in Canada and in the US, is a huge cost. And oftentimes there's 10 to 15 year repayments on that student loans where people can't really get ahead during that time. So I think I would love to see the millennial and Gen Z generation really be able to erase student debt. I know there's a lot of controversy around how that could happen. If I could snap my fingers and make it happen with no economic consequences, trust me, that would be the one thing that I would do.
Well, here, I'll just snap.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just snapping right now. So maybe it's happening and we just don't have evidence yet that the snaps have been successful. Sam, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Bruce.
Sam Lichtman is a certified financial planner. He's co-founder of Achieve Wealth Management. But our conversation today, he was here today because he has become a very active and well-followed TikToker, Millennial Money Canada. Check it out.